Okay. Let's see if I get this all set up right. See if I can get this simultaneously on. No. Turn the volume down. Okay, there we go. I've got that set up on my iPad so I can make sure things are in frame, and I send this out on DeviantArt and set it up on, let's see, YouTube should go now, right. All right, well, I am Jean Goulet, and I do the webcomic Chateau Grief, and as part of this, I have to take my script and turn it into a storyboard thumbnails, like these. And this is a really hard process that I drag my feet on all the time with, and I thought, wow, let's make it even tougher by doing it live. So, to that end, I have come up with a weird little setup here where I'm going to turn this webcam upside down. So when I tilt my screen here, you can see what I'm drawing, hopefully. But before we get to that, I am going to walk through the set that I'm going to be using today, and that is this one here in Blender. And mostly, let's see, it's going to be this upstairs set. Come on, computer, you can think. It'll be this upstairs set that, oh come on, perfect. Beach ball is just what we need. Am I not really able to move around here? My screen is jumping around on me, which I've had this set in Chateau Grief before quite a few times. Oh, I don't know where we are. Oh yeah, okay, so here's this set. I don't have a mouse. We got a table over here. We've got little employee pin board, something, a couple of chairs. There's a sink. I think this is their upstairs bathroom. I probably should use like some more signs and stuff indicating that. And then there's a whole bunch of storage stuff around here for this, and I've got these two big windows and this little window over here, and out that window you can see this big old tree, but back in chapter 2 or so, the tree outside of this window got accidentally chopped down, and so there's a little tree planted out there, but you can't see that. So you can see across the street to let me pop through the ceiling here. I've got a house over here. I've got some backer buildings that just sort of fade off into the distance. I've got street lights all down here. I've hidden most of the buildings that are on this side of the street because they're kind of big. They slow down the set. But, you know, it's just a street. There's sidewalks. Some of these things I've hidden, some haven't, but that's general layout. And I'm trying to make this set interesting. And I'm going to set up my thumbnails so that the scene is mostly taking place here, which is the upstairs of this bookstore where Morozia is working the cash register. I've got some books over here. These are the ones that Corey messed up during the whole hair Bible study thing. Hello, cat. Give you a pat. Okay. So I added some rails to this staircase, which I think helps. That's good. Cat, you're gonna mess everything up, cat. Why are you popping in here? Oh, should have locked him out. I really should have locked him out. So that's my set, and let me go back to the upside down webcam and get this all set up. so I can start drawing. Cat, stop it, or I will push you off. So the idea is I take this and I'll flip it just like that. And now you should be able to see exactly what I see, because the image is reversed both vertically and horizontally. And here are several sets of these thumbnails. I darkened the contrast a bit to you know, make it so you can kind of see more as I draw this. But yeah, that's what I'm coming up with today. And I've got how many pages of script? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages to put down. So we'll see how many pages of this I get to. Start out with my paper here. And let me see. Let me move this. There we go. I like to fold my paper in 12 little boxes. So I get 12 frames per page. And then I run about, you know, 1.5 to 2 pages per week. So here I'm kind of thinking of the big overview of like a full scene, and it's probably going to run about 3 or 4 weeks worth. So I'll end up with, you know, maybe 5, 6 pages of these. Let's see. And also I get like terrible artist bump on my fingers. So I've taken to, I make these little tubes out of vet wrap, and they have like little cotton wool pad in there. And if I'm going to handle a pencil, I end up wearing these, and it really helps. Okay, so what do we got? We have CG 8.2, and this is page 1. All right, so what happens first in this scene? So, Corey is with Prime Minister Dai, and they've just been invited back to the bookstore by Morosi for lunch and something. I think she's supposed to give a speech, but Grant interrupted that, and so she's got a televised debate with Xander here real fast, and she is trying to psychically make a suit for this debate out of a whole bunch of wool socks that Morosi has nicely gotten for her from one of the Einhauer stores. So what do we have? So Corey, it's from her point of view, and she is taking up some lunch to Dai, and Dai is studying her Latin grimoires, famous one, Winnie Il Pooh, and just generally having fun and being funny. So this is starts out as a comedy scene here. So I've got to establish this somehow. So I've got that bookstore. How do I want to do this? How do I want to start? Am I going to have that second floor with, like, so you can see Corey maybe coming up, and then Dai, you know, kind of spread out over the tables or the floor? I don't know. Is Dai on the floor, or is she on the tables? I know it would be more fun to draw that dress with her, like, in this puddle of... I mean, it's a really nice dress. If she's sitting at a table, it's kind of more sedate. So maybe I'm going to have her on the floor. So if I think about my room, kind of like you know, in the thumbnail to this video, if I like maybe angle the camera down a bit so you can see some of those lights and stuff, and you can see the windows outside like that. I've got all these bookshelves, and they're casting this nice like shadow, this nice diagonal shadow on the wall back there. So these are those, I think they're going the other way, but I don't care. There's this table. Here is the stairwell, which Corey's coming up. You know, it would honestly be really interesting if I could just take this wall here out and film this shot so you can kind of see it like I've drawn it, so you can see the floor in between them, and even, I don't know, maybe extend this one back a bit so you can just kind of, what would this be? This would, grab an eraser out so I can, oh, there we go. Here's my eraser. What am I doing? So this shot is, if I'm gonna like maybe remove one wall but not two, this edge is gonna have to be the edge of that wall. So some sort of establishing shot like this with there's this table here. That's right. Let me get this set up. And we're going to have Corey coming up the steps. So she's like this. And she's got lunch, so she's like carrying plates. And look at my lovely stick figure, right? And then Di is kind of here, seated on the floor, maybe cross-legged, and surrounded by her billowing skirts and then like papers. So she's like reading books. Now, what can I have for this scene, like on the floor? I should make a props list while I'm thinking about this. And so what have I mentioned already? I've got the stuff around Di. And she's reading old books. They're like witches' grimoires and things. I don't know. I don't know how you really convey that other than I've got some good textures of like old book covers, so I can use that. So she's reading some old books. There'll be papers on the floor with like magic spells on them. So loose leaf. Now loose leaf I have difficulty doing. The rigid body simulator in Blender is great, but I cannot make it work on paper for the life of me. So I've been, you know, anytime I've had to do paper like this, using a hair particle system. But I would really love to be able to like drop the paper over things and like have it sort of bend to whatever else is on the floor. Now, since she's sitting on the floor, what about floor pillows? What about bean bags? That's like silly and very Einhallowish sounding, isn't it? How about some big bean bags? You know, that's just a humorous contrast with her in her, you know, crazy Victorian getup, just sort of sitting on a bean bag, you know, reading books. Oh, and eating lunch. And I don't know. Does she have like a pina colada or martini or something? What's she drinking? She's set up this like televised thing where her and her political stuff are putting Corey up as some sort of an upstart political candidate to, I don't know, just challenge Xander, which, you know, really isn't the full goal of that, but It's a step. So is Di what? What's she feeling? Is she nervous? Nah, she's never nervous. So she's probably, I mean, her plan is going really well. She wants Xander to revamp the island's economic system. And so she's just kind of throwing bizarre little headaches at him in order to wear him down. So, as she goes out and says, okay, we need to change your system of these work groups or something, or change the way that people get paid from those work groups. All this boring technical stuff, but she's, just doing it with a little bit of verve, and the point is to annoy him, not as much to get things done from her perspective. So she's not really worried because she knows she's being annoying. And she's not like really doing anything dangerous to him, so she's not going to be fearful that he'd retaliate. So she's probably feeling pretty good. So she's happy. Di is happy, confident. She's just enlisted Corey's help, which is yet another firewall against any retaliation from Xander. So yeah, she's riding high, sitting on her bean bags. I don't know, maybe what's she is she snacking on popcorn? Is she like surrounded by like all kinds of snacks and chips and things, and just like reading old books with magic spells in them, and having fun? She's reading Winnie the Pooh. So I need to show that. So I've got my long shot of this. But we're at Corey's point of view, so we need the next bit to be, kind of Corey coming up this staircase. And I want to position her kind of close to the camera so that we understand that we're in her headspace, story-wise. So she's going to fill the frame pretty big, and I want to have, that's what I'll do. I'll have this plate, she's holding this plate of food, and we'll kind of see the shoulder, and that, she's like looking over at Di. This table that I'm on is like, it's got all these dings in it. It was like this distressed tabletop finish. And it's really difficult to draw anything halfway decent directly on it, so I've got to like layer other papers behind, or my pen just... So, okay, so anyways, Corey is looking in. We should be able to see this, but we're kind of looking over her shoulder. I don't know how to do this angle so we can still see her face, but like still... Well, okay, so we're looking past her, kind of into this. There's like the stair railings. Di is going to be sitting on her bean bag over here, reading a book with her skirt. So, and then I can make this look delicious. This plate of food should look delicious. What is this? It was something that Koreshi made, so it's probably, I don't know, some kind of a sauce. With like rice and yeah, probably something with rice and vegetables in like some sort of a sauce. I'm gonna make myself hungry here. So okay, so I'm gonna put a K here so I know that's Corey and that's Di. D for Di. And Corey is looking at Di, and so then we should transfer to this scene that describes like all of that stuff that I was just talking about. Di, with her, just sitting here, relaxed in her beanbag chair, like knees kicked out, legs kind of, and she's reaching maybe for a snack.
and she's holding a book in the other hand, and she is smiling and happy. Here's her horns. And sitting here, just kind of on the floor. I can like do lots of nice folds with her dress, like that. It's kind of wrinkled up. Maybe it's like up on one leg, so you can see a leg here. And not really on the other. So there's like her skirt. There's her other leg. And she's sitting there. Is she reaching for this? Some like maybe a martini. So there she is with her hands kind of like this, kind of reaching out. That's and her body is sort of twisted this way. She's just sort of reaching behind her. There's her sleeve. And her big swirly hair with all the roses in it. And she's just looking pleasant, reading her book. Just like that, enjoying herself. And the skirt should be poofy everywhere. The beanbag should look like a beanbag. And I'm probably going to end up making this smaller because I want to get all these papers just sort of strewn everywhere, and a couple of books like this and junk. Okay. So like this, I'm like making that like a widescreen shot here. A little bit more. So, you know, here's her foot, ankle. She's wearing high heels because, you know, what else do you wear with a floor-length dress? And here's her dress, and she's just like in the midst of ruffles and fluffing things, and just, yeah, she's enjoying herself. Maybe there's a thing of popcorn here, bag of chips. She's just having a nice, relaxing day. Now, then I've got to have this reaction shot from Corey. And this is like all in this setup, but like this is my establishing shot. Since I can't like really move the camera in some like big pan, I've got to go and get this all kind of put out there. Oh, was I drawing this whole thing like off the screen? Crazy. Okay, so this is my die here, sitting there. Grab our martini. It's got everything. My other papers are like pushing me out screen. I've got to make sure that this stays in. Okay, so anyways, this one, next one, Corey reaction shot. Now she's looking at Di. Di's all happy, and Corey is the one who has to actually carry this whole scheme that Di is planning. You know, the last time Corey officially saw Xander, it didn't really go so well, and she got really, really beat up. So Corey is not going to do the belligerent thing again with him. Can you see the cat's foot like coming in? No, it's like right here. Right off the screen, right over there is a cat foot. Okay, so Corey, what is she feeling about this? So she's got to go face Xander down. She doesn't even have like a shirt. She's got that jacket, which isn't working so great. And she's gotten Morosi to go get her a bunch of socks. And they're wool socks, because what is the main industry of Einhallow is all these sheep. And so fine. She's got sheep. She's got socks. So she's got to perform magic she's never done before. Usually it's like she's been paying attention to what Xander's doing and learning how to do stuff from him. But she hasn't seen this, like, well, actually, she has seen him fix clothes. She just doesn't remember it because, you know, this was like during that big fight where he'd ripped his shirt open. And then, you know, you look back and it's like the shirt is not ripped open. It's portions during that fight. So I don't know if that was like an illusion that he'd ripped his shirt open or if he'd done it and then healed it. But, you know, she's seen some stuff going on with fabrics. But she knows how fabric goes. I mean, how difficult is it? It's just like it's woven together, right? How hard can it be? So this is what she's thinking. So, you know, she's reasonably confident that she can get some fabric together, but she does have to face Xander again, and that's not going to be super pleasant. And then again, it's not going to be, I don't know, I think she's probably apprehensive more than anything. She's not necessarily fearful, but like there's uncertainty. And she's going to be looking at, you know, happy, confident Dai as like, you know, your little world is so pleasant and it's nice that you're so happy and it's nice to see you like that. And, you know, maybe I wish I could join in that world, but I just know too much to be that happy. So, you know, maybe she's, what is that? It's a bit of a paternal attitude. It's indulgent. But yeah, she's got to actually come up with something to say to Xander. Some way to, you know, make an impression. She is planning on just turning around and walking away. And that's becoming a difficult decision for her because there are, you know, so many things that have intrigued her about this island and particularly about Xander. And she wants to follow up on that, but she knows, look, I can't. I've got responsibilities and, you know, I can't just get sucked into something because I want to. There are other considerations. So, what's Corey going to be looking like? Hello, cat. Alright, so, where, can you see this? Yeah. Alright, so this is Corey kind of standing on the stairs, pretty decent size shot, and maybe you can see that she's holding plates of food here. Shoulders a bit wider than that, let's see. And maybe she's just sort of like leaning against the wall very briefly. Push up that shoulder and down that one. And kind of like looking at Dai with a little bit of a sad smile. Like, you know, it's really nice that you're having a great time. But I wish my life was less complicated and I could have a great time too, kind of. She always comes out like really weird when I draw these sketches. But anyways, there's the hair. It's like, it's pushed against the wall so it'll be flat there. Kind of, that's too far up, but whatever. And it's not windy in here. She's still wearing that jacket. That one that's like the neckline, it plungeth. This will probably have to come down to like there. And she's holding this plate like that. And maybe this one's more in front, so you just see that here. But, so this is my like establishing setup, and there's a lot of information that I want to convey in this without really, I mean, like, there's no dialogue yet. It's just like the room, and then lunch, it's the time, so it's like establishing when this time is, and then it's like
And this is Di's like this, and then Corey's like this. Maybe her hair is like a little frazzled, so looking a little bit like harried, and that, you know, that's the contrast between Di being so happy and Corey's like, eh. All right, so then what do we do? So what's the first thing that they talk about? Because the next frame is where the dialogue is probably going to come in. So Corey says, "Winnie ill Pooh, are you serious?" And so in order to do that, to make that work, I'm going to have to show Di like reading. And then you can like see Pooh and Piglet on the cover. There's Pooh. There's Di, and she's reading, and Corey's gonna kind of walk in and hand the plate over to Di, and Di's maybe gonna be reaching across, but not really looking. So how am I gonna do this book here? Is like Di's reaching across and not looking. She's gonna take the plate here. And this book is got to be held like further out in front of her. So she's like, her arm is down and it's close to her body as she's like reaching. And then this arm is going to come out like that and be holding the book maybe like out there. And then I can get that nice kind of curve of her body in the beanbag like that. And there's the book that she's holding. There's Pooh and Piglet. And then in this one, here's like, how do you hold a plate? So your thumb's kind of on top, right? So there's Corey's hand. Kind of like the food will be in the way. And then Corey's going to say, let's see, horns, so I know who it is here. Corey's going to say, Winnie ill, I-L-L-E, Pooh, are you serious? And then Di's taking this plate, kind of be juggling it around. Like, this is a very dark, dangerous work. So she's going to be like humorously defending this, you know, reading this famous little Latin primer book. Retelling of Winnie the Pooh in Latin as a kind of a, I don't know, as a humorous children's book. When did they do that? This has like been out since the 80s, hasn't it? Or maybe even earlier? I don't know. So the time frame's right for the book, that's fine. So Di is going to be like defensive. So I've got like a half body shot here now to maybe even like leaning forward a bit, and the book kind of held in her hand, like she's like waving it at her. Maybe I can do like a sound effect there, like she's waving the book around, and here's her hand, and there's her thumb or her fingers or something. She's like smiling, saying, "This is a very dark, dangerous work." There's her like evil queen neckline there. I love it. I love this little dress that she's got. This one's a fun one. And I can't wait to do another one because, you know, every time I do one of these dresses, I think Di looks so nice. She's just always having fun. Okay, so Di says it's a very dark, dangerous work. How about a grimoire? Dark, dangerous grimoire. She says, I think the witch who kept this discovered the secret of transformation. Or she doesn't say I think. The witch who kept this has discovered the secret ... of transformation. This will be emphasized. Transformation. Corey's like, transformation? What? Really? So maybe Corey's sort of plopping down into another beanbag. I don't know. How do you sit in a beanbag? It's always awkward. Like arm on the floor, head up, shoulders. She's holding a plate in one hand, so the hips haven't settled yet. So we got this body here. It's going to be braced off of this leg, kind of coming on front, and she's like, either this leg is really folded back as she's sort of lowering herself into the beanbag, and she's like, really? Transformation? And then we can see Di over here. Maybe kind of lean to the side. Di is still holding her plate, but maybe out and looking out and up like that. Maybe not quite as angled, but I'll have to work that out kind of in perspective to the set. But this is sort of a long shot. So what is she going to do? She says, I'm not much good with the Egyptian pronunciation, but I believe we should be at least able to discover how to turn Xander into a kangaroo. So that's a lot of text for any panel. So how do I make that shorter? Let's see. I'm not good with the Egyptian pronunciation. And in case you're wondering, it's Latin, but the Egyptian is like harkening back to the ancient mystery schools. But she should say, but I think I've discovered how to turn Xander into a kangaroo. But instead of saying I think, she should just say, I've discovered how to turn Xander into a kangaroo. And that kangaroo is going to be emphasized, you know, a little bang at the end.
So Corey would be kind of confused here. I still have one more line of dialogue for Di. I think Di is going to be holding up the book and flipping through it like vertically. Like, here's the book, and its pages are going like flop, flop, flop all the way down. Right? So it's going. So there'll be like sound effects here. Like, flop, flop, flop. And she's holding the book. Now I'm gonna cheat because she was holding the book with her left hand. Maybe I can still do it with the left hand. Like have her lean this way and have her shoulder here and her elbow kind of coming in there with the hand like that. Yeah, that'll work. And she's like looking sideways over at Corey. Smiling. And she says, "Look here at the illustrations. The possibilities are endless." You know, meaning that she's reading Winnie the Pooh, and there's Kanga and Roo, who are the kangaroos in this. And so she's like using that as a kind of. Let's see. So what she says, "Look here at the illustrations. The possibilities are endless." And I should have at least one of these pages kind of with kangaroo on there or something. Look here at these illustrations. Possibilities are endless. So now we get Corey's reaction, which is a good time for a close-up face. What kind of face is Corey making? It's a little too worried. It's a little too angry. Now, I want her to be kind of like, she's laying back in this beanbag and she's like raising her head up. Like, what? Really? But the torso is like much more horizontal. I don't know how she's trying to eat lunch here. Yeah, like that, maybe. And she's got the plate here. She's holding it like that with maybe, I don't know, like a fork or probably something, chopsticks. She says, "Egyptian." And then Di says, "That's right, the real kind, not the fake stuff." So Di will be sitting up, plate lowered, and kind of head up because she's sort of, and then she'll be poking at Corey with a fork, like holding it, and like poking across the body. Yes, that's right. The real kind, not the fake stuff. All right. So that's like the first little comedy thing of that. And then Di is going to tell Corey that I've got a car coming to pick us up in half an hour. The television studio is a block away, but she wants everyone to arrive in style. So this is, let's see, I haven't done a long shot since, you know, the first shot here. So this is a good time to do maybe some sort of a long shot. I won't like cross the 180-degree line. Here's beanbag 1 and beanbag 2. They're just sort of eating lunch in a very undignified way. And Di is going to tell Corey, car is coming to pick us up. I'm not going to say in half an hour because it's not going to feel like half an hour once we get through this scene, because the car does arrive before the scene is over. And since, like, as you're looking through, it feels like only, you know, a minute or a couple of seconds happens as you go through. So I'm going to scrub that time reference. So the car is coming to pick us up. The TV studio is only a block away, but I thought we should arrive in style. Well, that's like one page of thumbnailing. Oh my. Only 150 more to go. How long have I been streaming for? Let me fold this paper up and I'll check stuff. See if anyone has joined me in my agony. If you have joined me, I really appreciate it. Don't know if, I mean, it looks like the microphone audio is working right, but I mean, there's so many things that just trying to get this stuff set up. I worry that I'm doing it wrong, and that I wouldn't like know for like an hour. Oh hey, anti-social hoodie kid. Hey, I just saw your chat. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like the art. Let's see. This is page 2. All right. I kind of want to go back to Blender and take a closer look at my set. So I've got that establishing stuff with everybody sitting down there. Here we go. My upside down camera with all that like darkened stuff. Swap over to Blender here. So now that I've got that whole set going. Alright, come on. There we go. Wake up, computer. Okay, it woke up. Sort of. Up come. Alright, so they're on the floor here in this spot, and like the bean bags are going to be in the floor like there.
What if I put like some floor lamps or lights or something on the floor? Always like lighting a scene is tough to do, fun to do, but very tough to do. I would turn this onto like rendered view, but it would like take forever. But you know, I might be able to do that. One of these days I'm going to have to get me a real computer. Come back scene. All right. So everybody's just sitting on the floor. They're chilling on the floor. Now, what are some good camera angles that I can use here? Because Corey now is going to set up, and she's going to be doing some like magic on these socks. That's right. There's bean bags, and then there's like all the socks strewn on the floor, the table, or something. So Corey's probably going to like stand up. You know, in some way, I could probably make these shelves a little bit less. I don't know. I like the shelves. The shelves like provide all these beautiful like light patterns, and that are getting cast across the floor. See, while I'm going to talk, I'm just going to turn my viewport shading to rendered because I'm thinking about this scene. Then I can show you those nice light patterns that'll come in here. Be bouncing beach ball for a bit. Let's see. So they're sitting on the floor, and Corey's gonna start like picking up some socks. Oh, here we go. Here it comes in. And then like trying to like take them apart on a thread by thread level and weave them into some cloth to have a suit. Here it comes. Here it comes. Look at these beautiful, beautiful light patterns. Come on. Path trace. It is quite slow though. There we go. We start to see the patterns on the floor. So that, I'm thinking, if I render this scene out with maybe a little bit of atmosphere in the, like, make it a little dusty in the scene, we'll see some like God rays coming through. That could be very interesting. I've got the sun lamp on a really kind of a pretty hard, it's very small. To make your shadows real sharp, you make the lamp really small. So I've turned the shadows to about as sharp as I can make them. Now that's not very, that's not a great image, but you can kind of see how these shadows are coming across the room, and I really like how that looks. But the room just seems plain. And I have to figure out a way to film this film, to set this up so that Corey can do her thing in the middle and make it look spectacular. Even though she's just like fiddling around, messing around, and having trouble doing this. She does sort of manage it by the end, but she doesn't manage it to her own satisfaction. And let's see. Got the light coming in. Could I possibly film her from like the angles close to the windows? I'm going to turn this back onto material so I can move around this scene. If I filmed this from this angle, how much would I get? Like looking down those rows of shelves. So I could put some cool things on the shelves. That would be one thing to do. The other thing is I've got this pretty nice ceiling. I've got some like globe lights up here. This is a decent angle, like looking down at the scene where you could see them sitting on the floor out here. And, you know, Corey could do something like spectacular in there. What if she knocks over a bookcase? I mean, she could like, boom, like dominoes and then stop them from falling. I don't know. They do look like dominoes just waiting to get knocked over with a nice little rigid body simulation, don't they? Just like a force wave comes and pop, like all the boxes go scattering. And then, I mean, she's already demonstrated some pretty complicated telekinesis earlier when she like pulls all the books out of their shelves downstairs and then sticks them back. So yeah, she could like knock over things, and then that noise would be a perfect catalyst to get Esme is coming upstairs. And ostensibly she's coming upstairs because Di's ride has arrived. And of course it's an 80s heavy metal band driving a hearse with like face paint, glitter, and junk. Because what else would the Satanist party of Einhalla have as their official transportation? So I'm like a hearse with curtains in the window or something fun. Black curtains, of course. Boom boxes on the top. I haven't seen one of those cars in years, but I remember seeing them. I remember. All right, so I can film Corey here. This little side room, I haven't quite figured out what to do with this one yet. Whether there's like just an empty storage room over there, what they would have in there. Maybe this is like their kitchen-ish room, but it's got a window, so I mean, you don't want to store, if you were going to have canned goods, because I was thinking, oh, well, you know, maybe I could like put pickle jars or something in these shelves so that the caustics can be in, like the light can come through and be on the shadows on the floor, these caustics. But I don't know if you'd want canning jars in the sun, or even if I'd care. I mean, it might look cool, so I'm going to at least give that a try in this main room. But I don't know what to do with this little room. And I put that there for, I don't know, reasons unknown, but it's been there since the beginning. I guess it's, technically it's just part of the next building's over's. I mean, it's a joined little thing, and so I'm assuming you can get from building to building through rooms, basically all the way. And with this one, I mean, there's the outside staircase coming up on that side, which you come into, and then, you know, you just sort of work your way along the row like that. All right, well, let me go back to the upside down camera, and we can try page 2. Here we go. Let me set this up again. I've got like a nice little groove that I'm propping the computer in. There we go. There's my 2. Okay. So Di says the car is coming to pick us up. And they're going to arrive in style, but she's not telling how that happens. So Corey she's got to go try and start making this suit now. So, I mean, the fact that she's trying to make a suit out of a whole bunch of wool socks, I think is just, that's funny, right? So it should play funny. So maybe she is sitting here on her beanbag with her knees in the air. Maybe not that far, like that or something, I don't know. And she's like does some crazy hand motions, and all the socks are like sitting up. They start floating like in a row. And she's like got really intense look on her face as she's like trying to make this all work. Like maybe the socks are like floating in an array, and then like one of them gets taken apart and it's like just a cloud of fluff.
Okay, so yeah, so if it's like being taken apart and then it explodes in this cloud of fluff, then, you know, like she's like trying to warp it and change it, and then all of a sudden, poof, it fails, then that's like another little funny thing to happen. So she's like sitting here, weird angle, that's a really tough angle to do, but maybe she's just like, maybe she's still like eating lunch. And off to the side here, all the socks like come up in an array. Because I can do like arrays in Blender. This is great. And this is assuming that I wouldn't want to draw all the socks by hand. Maybe I do just want to like keep them all by hand. Look at those terrible socks. So they all go bloop, or some sound effect. With like, you know, lines. And maybe dies like taking a bite over here and goes, "What are you doing? What just happened?" So here's her like fork. And she's like, what? Just what? So then I'm gonna have, if I have this sock kind of being sort of stretched out of shape, as Corey's like going, okay, how do I make this work? Like, how do I get this working? Like, and maybe she's kind of gritting her teeth, like really concentrating, and the sock kind of just sort of peels into, you know, requisite amounts of fun looking magic, and it makes a sound effect like I don't know, what does a sound effect make that like a banana peeling would make? Like unzip? I don't know. How about unzip? Zip. As it's like, and maybe the thread is going ravel, ravel. And so the sock is kind of getting like completely taken apart one by one. Like that's sort of looking like a sock now. Kind of. Zip, and there's, you know, Corey like really concentrating hard. Like it's close to her face. But it's like it's floating, it's not, she's not holding it. And then she's like got some flat pieces, or flat-ish pieces, and then she's like trying to join them together. Oh boy, this is like, how do you depict that? How do you even start to like try and depict that? That's, so she's like, okay, what if she's like closing her eyes and like concentrating so hard that it's just like, her whole face is scrunched up. And then, you know, maybe her hair starts to swirl around with magic, and it's like the thread is doing the loop, trying to like stitch itself together. I don't know. Stitch, stitch. And then it goes pow. And there's lint everywhere. And so she's going to be like, ah, what happened? Ah! Sorry, cat. You're okay. Go back to sleep. Pow. I'm like, thread everywhere. And then Dai is going to be like sitting here eating lunch with like her helmet, her horned headband, and it's going to have string draped all over it, and she's just going to like be flicking lint off, or you know, picking pieces of lint off of her food. Just unconcerned and happy because, haha. Pick. All right. Pointy elf ears for Corey there. Let's see. So Corey fails at trying to stitch her socks into, I don't know what, some like sock knit suit. That would be even worse. I don't know what she's even thinking here. Let's see, but Dai is going to be like leaning back, relaxed, holding her plate. And there's her wrist and her hand and stuff. So after the first failure of this, and it's like, it's important to show characters like trying things and then failing. When everybody succeeds at stuff the first time around, it's not nearly as satisfying as if they've tried and then something goes wrong. Because Corey's actually, she will succeed at, you know, getting a passable suit by the end of this, but I think it's just funnier. It's like better for character development if you show them working at it. It's just not free. It's not free. So, I think at this point, Dai can say something snide. So I've got, in my text, I've got Corey saying to herself that, you know, you think that conjuring cigarettes out of thin air would have provided a better basis for warping the laws of reality. And the other thing is I wanted to use like the word warp and the word weave. I can't figure out a way to work in weft, but I don't know. It's just something I want to do. All right, so Dai, I think, is going to say, you'd think that conjuring cigarettes out of thin air, after doing that, you would be better at warping reality. She'll say, you'd think that conjuring cigarettes out of thin air, which, by the way, Corey didn't do. She got one of the resistance guys' stash that he'd hidden under the chair. She only lit him on fire. That was all that she did, but Dai doesn't know that because she was doing all the magic sleight of hand stuff. So you'd think that conjuring cigarettes out of thin air would be harder than, say, warping thread, right? Would be harder than warping thread. Bingo. So that's a little snide thing. She's picking string out of her food. Now Corey has to like react a little like, this is hard. I've got to figure out ways to do something. So I'm going to have her kind of, she's leaning forward
maybe. She's this stupid beanbag. Beanbags are hard, but hard to sit in, but provide all kinds of great opportunity for fun character poses for a comic, I think.
So Corey's like sitting here, and she goes, "Arg, arg," growl. And she's also covered in string, and all the socks are just sort of higgledy-piggledy, strewn everywhere because she's lost a grip on the other ones. So now she's got to figure out how to do this in a different way, because cutting them apart, stitching together, whatever she was doing, it was too complicated, too many turns, something. Too much of a torsion field that was created. What am I going to do? So now I think Corey is just going to kick Di's book that she put down, Winnie Il Pooh, right? She's just going to kick it because she's mad. Kick. So I've got to do something where the foot is already kicked, and you can see that's I don't even imagine how that angle is going to happen, but something she looks up at Di.
She's got her hands like this behind her head, and her
nose careening. Flap, flap, flap. Kick. Again, this is really going to depend on the angle of the room when I do the final render, exactly how that's going to work. But here's her other foot. She's still wearing those dumb boots. Kick. And
her leg is coming in. I don't know.
Like that. This boot would be a lot bigger. Boom. Kick. And it would probably be obscured a little bit by the book, which is flying that away.
And she's all kind of bent over like that, and this is that crazy. It's a nice orienting thing from an art perspective.
And the socks, and there's just covered in string. And this is Winnie Il Pooh, the book. And she's that shows a lot of frustration. So, she's a bit on edge. Di is still happy. And I'm going to kind of move to the side with Di so you can kind of see her face. And she's pointing with her fork at the book, still laughing, smiling at her.
Laughing at other people's misfortunes is a wonderful pastime, isn't it? So here's Di, smiling.
And how am I going to do this with, we're kind of looking down on her a tad because Corey's a bit taller, so this is from Corey's point of view. And then Di is waggling her fork around with her hands.
which is totally out of perspective, but you know, something like, I don't know, like a hand. I don't know what I'm drawing here. There we go. There's a sort of a hand, like holding a fork. It needs to be like further away and bigger, but you know, we'll handle that later. And so Di is waving her fork around and saying, "Careful with that. That's dark magic. Very dangerous." Dark magic. Very dangerous. And so now Corey does something that's a little bit more in her wheelhouse. So she rips a page out of one of these books, rips a page out of one of Di's books, and then does a hand flourish and like makes an origami kangaroo out of it. Boom, like that. No magic required. So I kind of want to do like an upshot of Corey like reaching down and ripping. Here's like the book. And she's like, here's her hand. And she's like, rip. So you think that she's still mad, maybe? So you can see like the underside of her chin, her ears are coming back down like that. There's a lot of shoulder here. I'd have to set this up, like the knees are going to be like up there and the feet are going to come forward. Like, I don't know, why was I thinking bean bags would be a great idea? Because look at all this. I've got like knee right next to the collarbone. Here's another one. Here's her other knee. And she's like, there's her arm coming forward. Rip the page out of the book. And then she's going to sort of sit back and look a little bit more serene. And then I'm going to like be drawing her hands in a blur, kind of. So I'll do like 4 or 5 hand positions, and I'm not sure what they are yet. So, oops, don't collapse on me, pencil. That's a terrible sound. Eraser. It's a terrible sound, isn't it? So here's her. She's looking more serene. Face, neck. She's got that huge long neck and these super wide shoulders. They're going to be slanted because she's leaning back perhaps a little bit more, or just sitting up. Maybe she's just sitting up. Here's her knees. And so there's that. Her elbow's going to be out here, so we got like a hand coming here. And a hand coming here. There's going to be no magic in this scene, but the hands are going to be moving fast. And a hand, so I'm going to have like the paper. Like a hand here. The thumb and a hand here. Like maybe closed. So maybe another one down here, I don't know. So a bunch of hands as she's like fold. So that's the other thing, is I can like describe the action of the panel with the sound effect, and if you draw a complicated enough panel, nobody's going to be angry at me. Well, hey, Maysam, I hope I said your name right, Maysam Khan. The whole series I thought you were a guy. Well, no, I am not. Let's see. It's the because Jean is John in French. But I am a Jean, which is also John in French. Everybody's named John. Everybody in the world, mostly. Let's see. Now what? So she's folding, 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 and then pop. I'm gonna draw like an origami kangaroo. That's like, what's a kangaroo look like? Kangaroos are basically dogs with big legs and Tyrannosaurus arms. That is a terrible kangaroo. Oh, and enormous ears like that. There, that's a kangaroo. Oh, they have tails, that's right. They're like a Tyrannosaurus dog. So there we go. Only it's going to be paper origami. So there's all those like angles and folds and stuff. And if I do it right, I should be able to have like maybe some of the letters on the page as it goes. And so she'll be holding this in her hand. So it'll be a nice close-up of a hand. Nice. Hopefully nice. And here we go. Like, there's a finger. And like that. Just like not a big poof, nothing big, like really kind of a gentle unfold of like this is what I'm actually good at doing. I'm trying to be this telepath, but I'm not. I can make origami kangaroos. That's kind of cool. Okay, so that's page 2. Let's see. All right. Ah, Maysam Khan, watching the series from the start. Oh, you're at episode 90. Wow, that's so. I don't know. I can't believe how many episodes there are. But on the one hand, I want to go faster. On the other hand, I mean, what are we at? We're at 172? That's an awful lot of weeks. That is an awful lot of weeks. I honestly want to like combine them so it's not so intimidating to like look at this and go, what? How far am I behind? So, I don't know. They're short. They're short. I saw something in Webtoons was doing a contest these last few months. And they're like, oh, enter your story in this contest, we'll judge. And I'm like, okay, well, what's in the fantasy category? And they want, episode length at least 45 frames. Like, what? 45 frames? I do about, what, maybe 16 or 18, as little as 12, as much as 24, but 45 frames? I can't imagine how big a computer I would have just to handle those files like that. Get them all, stuck together in one thing. It's incredible. Okay, page 3. So, what do we got? We have got... So I haven't used any of those big shots that I was planning for Corey to actually stand up and make this suit. Because Corey's got a nice comeback to one of Di's snide remarks later. So she makes the kangaroo. And sets it on the floor in front of Di and goes to stand up. Di is like, oh, that's cool. Maybe she reaches for it. Little paper kangaroo thing here. With zombie tyrannosaur hands. And a tyrannosaurus tail. And cute little face with big floppy
Tyrannosaurus ears. Look at that. That's a kangaroo. It looks like a kangaroo. So Corey is putting this down, so her hand is going to come like this. And she's standing up. She's really bent over at this point. So her elbow's like coming there. Her shoulder's probably going to be off. But the knee is kind of like that. And here's her leg. Her foot, that's too big. But there's her foot. She's kind of setting that down. And standing up. I'm really not getting this right. The angles of this just aren't right. And then Dai is going to be like reaching for this too. Like, oh, I want that. That's cool. That's a cool little thing. And maybe I get a nicer, fuller shot of Dai's. Like, here's her knee. Here's her leg. It's like her skirt is kind of wrapped around, going the other direction. And she's reaching for that.
So she'll be reaching for this, maybe putting her plate down on the other side, or just like sitting there. And here's her horns, her horned helmet.
Horned headband. It's not even a horned helmet, it's a horned headband. I mean, how goofball is that?
Alright, so there's the little thing. And
Dai's going to pick it up, and then it's going to like jump in her hand, because Corey can make it jump. It'll like scare her. How about that? Oh, wait, I'm out of lead here. Do I still have lead in my pencil? Do I need more? Let's see. Ah, there we go. All right, so do I need another reaction shot of like Dai's like holding the thing and then it jumps in her face and scares her? Or should it just like jump at her now?
How about it like jumps at her now with like arms out like this. Boing. And Dai is like, yikes, what happened? And it just sort of jumps in the air, kind of in front of her. And she'll like draw her knee up so you can see that, and then her foot maybe off to the side, like you can see her shoe. And there's her ankle. Like, yikes, what just happened? And then, you know, you see the like the magic, and you know, Corey's stood up here, and like just see the edge of her jeans and that boot, but like see the hand, and then you start to see the magic. Now I can do that wide shot from I think overhead would be. So where's my angle? I gotta get my angle right here. So this is gonna go boing. And I don't know what a jumping kangaroo looks like. But the arms are gonna go out like little spidery arms about to grab her.
Alright, so now I've got my wide shot, and Corey's gonna start acting and looking cool.
So we're going to have the bookcases, right? They're going to domino eventually. Or maybe they will. Let's see. So I got my room kind of like this. So there was where Corey's beanbag was. Here's Di over here. And maybe the little kangaroo is hopping all over the room. And Corey will be, I don't know, standing here, looking cool, like maybe an arm out here and there, and like surrounded by socks. So like inside this big funnel of socks, she's taking apart. Or not maybe taking apart, but maybe they're kind of leaving the floor in this like swirly pattern and just like hovering around her. I mean, that looks cool. It's pointless, but it looks cool. One of the kangaroos still going boing, boing. So then we'd have to have a cool shot of Corey with like her head and neck, and maybe she's like looking off to the side so you can't see her face quite so well, but you know, get a nice shot of the arms and perspective and maybe a hand with like everybody. The psychic energy flows through your hands. If you try and do any like drawing of any telepathic event without somebody like holding their hand up, you can't tell who's doing what. So I don't know. It's just like it has to happen. Technically, she shouldn't have to do all this dramatics, but I learned kind of early that I need something. And so this should be like a big old magic shot with all of the socks coming apart and sort of finding their way into some sort of a grid. So here is her neck. Here's that jacket. Here's her hair. She's looking away from the camera, sort of like that. Here's her other arm. There's the front of that jacket, and that's kind of, I don't know, that's like a heroic pose, sort of. She's leaning at an angle, kind of like emphasize that line of motion. Boom. And maybe this is a good time to frame that shot with the dominoes there, because I mean, you're kind of thinking that the dominoes are going to fall over. Even if I don't do it, it's like building a little bit of suspense. So we should see the socks kind of coming into this grid. Just something looking cool. It stands maybe like that. Just a couple of frames. I don't like indulge in all of this magic stuff enough. So just sit here, do a couple of frames of fun stuff. Di would have her head like popped in the corner over here, like, what are you doing? She's still sitting on her beanbag, but maybe, you know, she's like leaning her elbows on her knees. Like, what? And here's her skirt. I'm really looking forward to like drawing all the beautiful wrinkles on this skirt, because that's always fun. So this Corey is like doing cool stuff. You know, it should like form itself. This suit should like form itself around her body, like as it goes. That would be really cool. How do I convey that idea? That she just like skips straight from unzipping socks and trying to stitch them back together to like boom and like costume change in this big massive of magic as like everything just I think I can best convey that by showing it like latching onto her arm. Like if I have a hand here, like those are the fingers. And I've got a thumb here. Then we can kind of see like that's probably the wrong angle. I'd want to show more of an arm, but like back to here to like a shoulder, and then like have the red. Oh, see, that's what I'm having her. She's going to take apart that red jacket too. And she's going to remake that into her shirt. So she's got black from the socks. She's got the red kind of cotton twill that she's wearing in that red jacket. So, oh, this is perfect because then she's going to look exactly like she's straight out of the Satanist party of Einhallow. She's got to be like wearing a black suit with a red shirt. I mean, talk about eerie looking. Di would love that. So, okay, so this is like coming away from her arm and reforming itself with lots of magic and I don't know, sound effects, no sound effects. This is just sort of thread. Now I've got to get the shapes of this thread, but the general idea is like make it in an S. So you've got it coming in from one side and then it's like swirling out the other side, and if you get it angled right and centered right in the page, then it'll make this nice S, and that's a good composition shape. So here's her hand, and she is like making herself a new suit. And at this point, this might not be a bad idea to show Di's reaction to this. I think I'm like skipping portions of this narrative, but yeah, that's right. Okay. Oh, I skipped some dialogue in these two frames because as Di's like reaching for this little thing, this little kangaroo. So I'm so scattered. She says, "So remind me again why you can't finish the suit." And then as it jumps on her, Corey says, "Satan prefers leotards," which I think is just funny. The word leotard is funny. All right, and then Corey stands up to actually like finish this suit. So I need a good angle for her. And I haven't actually designed this suit yet. It should be like a really proper conservative business suit. I'm thinking like a skirt suit. Very, very modest according to, Corey's taste in clothes. Except for this like red shirt, which is probably, I don't know. How do I make a conservative suit when they're wearing a red shirt and not a white one? I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But let's see. I think I'm going to have some
some shot of this happening full body, like, but from Dai's perspective, maybe. So, like, here's Dai's hair with all this stuff, and she's watching this happen. And maybe Corey is further away in the room. That head's too big. And so this angle, here's this, like, beautiful little, it's like a little corset that Dai's wearing, but it's got a nice pattern on it, and I really like that because when I paint it up, I make it look like gold stitching, which I like. So this will be Corey from behind, like maybe looking over her shoulder, and then just like magic swirling everywhere. Here's that hand. And I'm going to be like, there's so much magic going on that like, it's like part way. So maybe this suit is sort of coming together, but there's going to be like all of that color of the red and the black. And she doesn't have any shoes for this. So she's going to be barefoot, I think, for now. I don't know how I'm going to get her some shoes. She can't wear those boots. Let's see. So there she is. And then it's just this mass of stuff and magic that's happening as she's like swirling around barefoot. She's got the skirt of this thing. I think her jacket will still kind of be red, but there'll be big streaks as the black comes in. And then we have the final phase of this. So how many frames of magic do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not all that many, but that's okay. So finally, like maybe Dai is a little bit smaller in the frame. And we see Corey maybe from a down angle instead of an up angle. So here's very, knee-length skirts. I'm thinking like just a very, like not a, what do they call the lapels that don't have like points on them? Just a very smooth lapel. That's a kind of a traditional woman's lapel, isn't it? And just, cuffs. Not a very, not like a very sexy suit. It's just business. It's proper more than anything. So it's not very tight around the waist. It'll be that shirt will make it the red one. And then have Dai here to observe this whole disaster that has taken place. It's like, okay, now you have a suit. And after this, Corey, I need still some magic in here, probably. Because I want to take this into Corey's head. She knows what she's doing. And she's like doing it with Xander in mind. Like I can't give in to him. She is like viewing this whole thing of making this suit as
look, this is obviously something that he knows how to do, make the cloth fit together. But she doesn't know even the right questions to ask, but she does like need him to tell her how all of these things fit together and work. And she doesn't really want to let him know that she needs that, even though she can't really help it. So I need to think about this from here, going to like what her thoughts are. What do I have? Maybe I can like draw a nice face for her while I'm thinking about this. Maybe it'll come to me. Maybe I need like hours this afternoon to think about it. Because she's like surprised at what she can do. But, you know, as much as she would love to, like, fall prey to this power and this all this cool stuff, this cool place, this cool island, she can't. She's got responsibility. So I can do some nice hair. I can draw her neck with like a very standard but conservatively buttoned collar. And that's a bit too thick of a neck. Collar, lapels, just nice hair, something like that. But then she's like thinking about the consequences of just like doing this action, of taking this step and basically experimenting with telepathy to do this in a way that she hadn't seen Xander previously do magic like that. So this is like a big step for her. And she's going to be like worried that she's giving in to this and kind of falling prey to this. That jaw is just like way too big. Instead of making the jaw smaller, making the forehead larger. I don't know, make the head larger. There we go, that's better. Path of least resistance. So I need some narration here, and I need a couple shots of both her reaction and Di's reaction, with Corey narrating this idea that, you know, it's really seductive. This power is just like reach out and take it, reach out and do something, and that it's just got. I mean, Corey knows this. This comes with strings attached, and she can't afford to just do what she wants. And this is part of you know, what makes a good character is they struggle. They want something, but they can't do it. You know, and trying to figure out how to get what they want and, you know, fulfill their goals as a character. That's, you know, something that I hope is holding her back from too much Mary Sue here. Let's see. So I'm going to have narration in here. Look, it's just like
any of these action scenes, there's no text and I don't know what to put in there. I guess I don't really need anything. What if I just have Corey and Di like look at each other like, what are we even doing? What are we getting into? Is that, I don't know, more powerful than having it explicit? I don't know. Let me draw a nice picture of Di, because I have no idea where I'm going here. She's like, Di's gonna be looking up at her, kind of, what are we doing? What are we even doing? It's a little bit too Mother Dearest lipstick, but whatever. So, I don't know if that looks like Di yet. That face is too heavy. Like, yeah, there we go. And then here's her ear, and she's wearing that earring. And here's her. Getting the angles right on these heads can be difficult. So there we go. Like, there's her hair, and here's her headband. Am I still doing this on camera? Yep, I think. Headband coming out the other side. Hair comes up in the back. There's all these flowers in her hair. She's just like stunned. They're both stunned. Maybe just not having anything here is more powerful, but it's not. It's not. I have to explain somehow something. But those are some nice faces. They're okay. I'll use those. Oh man, I've only done like almost 3 pages of these. I'm gonna be like needing 8. Oh, wow. Well, I've come to a spot that I need to think about. So maybe it is time for me to switch back to the set. Maybe I can get some more inspiration from that. Maybe it's just time for lunch. I don't know. It's me upside down. Where's Blender? Maybe it's a fun set. There we go. Right side up. Yeah. I don't know. I've got lots to think about. Dialogue. The next bit where Esme actually comes in and has an altercation with Corey while Di goes and gets her 80s band hearse together. That'll be fun. I'm going to have to find a model for that car. Let me write that down on my list. I was doing that, like the scene list. Which paper did I have that on? Ah, here we go. Hearse. 3D models needed. Hearse. Boombox. How long? I've been doing this for almost 2 hours, so that's a decent run. I think it's time for lunch. I keep talking about them eating all this stuff, and now I'm getting hungry. Well, I think I'm gonna call it for the day. If you joined and watched the stream, I really appreciate it. I'm so glad to have you here. I love drawing out these things, and this is like, I don't know, talk about unfiltered brain stuff as I'm like hacking through this. But you know, maybe you got some ideas on how I put together these scenes, and you know, how I set up the scenes so where there's the action and then there's the reaction, or there's the joke and then there's time for the reaction of the other characters and stuff. I don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm following my gut instinct on how to get these done. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a day for today now. I didn't do all that many thumbnails, but you know, you saw my sketches, and we'll try this again sometime. This is always fun. It's like trying to get it set up across all of these different platforms. I always feel like I'm gonna miss something or mess something up, but I'm always happy when I do it. So thank you for joining me. This is again, it's Jean Goulet, and we'll do this again sometime. All right. Adios.